I'm in a small museum here in a town called Eidsvold. It's really central Queensland museum on the life of one man, a very remarkable man, a man who inspired greatness and who actually failed greatly. But through his failings, he really inspired a whole generation of people like me. And his name is R.M. Williams. And this little museum, though I can't share everything with you, I want to tell you more about this man. You might know R.M. Williams by the boots, the one piece of leather that makes a boot for the bushman. And now R.M. Williams is known by very people who are not bushmen, but they love his boots, the belts, the clothing, and I'm probably dressed the opposite to an R.M. Williams person. But soon, for the rest of this Pauline's Place, I want to put on my R.M. Williams shirt that I really treasure, and I'll tell you more about the man. This boab tree is a part of what's to be seen and to be enjoyed at this museum, or a place to honour R.M. Williams. It's a bush learning centre in the little town of Eidsvold in central Queensland. Very small town, but it was where R.M. Williams came to re-establish his life. But what I want to say to you today about this man was his role with the Aboriginal people, the native peoples of Australia. It was as if he was one with them. He spent many years working with them. They loved him. He wasn't a soft touch, and neither were they, but they learned to respect one another. The one didn't say, "I owe you." They just were friends. One of the things R.M. Williams said about his staff and the people who helped him in his life, "If you're good enough to work with me, you're good enough to eat with me at my table." I like to think that from all his reading of the Bible and the way he felt uncomfortable in a church, it was as if hospitality for him was a key to the relationships he built in his business. I think that's the way of the church. It's got to be, but it isn't very often. Thank you, R.M. Williams, Reg Williams, for what you gave Australia. I'm looking at a fence of fame, which is really a way of honouring the mateship and friendship that stockmen and landowners together experienced in this community. And this was where R.M. Williams, Reg Williams, came when he felt his life had fallen apart from the point of view of his marriage, and economically he'd lost all his wealth, and he rediscovered himself and also found a way of regaining something that he was really good at, and that was cattle and the land and people, and he rebuilt his wealth. I'm just nestled here in this cosy corner of very beautiful bush, and it's at a time of year when it's green everywhere, and often this country was brown, inhospitable and barren, but R.M. Williams found his new self here, or refound who he was. And just a little bit more about him. He read the Bible every day. He really believed that that was something important for him to do, but do you know, he said he never felt comfortable in a church. But in a way, what he loved and who he loved was everywhere around him in nature and in this great wide land of Australia. And I want to do more with you at Pauline's Place about him, but I want to leave you with this poem that was his favourite, and it's a little bit dated because it talks about man, but I'm a woman and I feel included in his story, and I feel included in the way he was with people. So I leave it with you, a blessing. R.M. Williams loved this poem. House by the side of the road. There are hermit souls that live withdrawn in the place of their self-content. There are souls like stars that dwell apart in a fellowless firmament. There are pioneer souls that blaze the paths where highways never ran. But let me live by the side of the road and be a friend to man. Let me live in a house by the side of the road where the race of men go by, the men who are good and the men who are bad, as good and as bad as I. I would not sit in the scorner's seat, nor hurt the cynic's ban. Let me live in a house by the side of the road and be a friend to man.